Mr. Buchholz.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'm pretty sure just in an opening statement we don't need a Royal Commission to establish who ABA will independently appoint as their CEO. I just want to go back to your opening comments and thank you for your appearance today, Mr. Hartzer and Atal, in and around the conversation that you had with your customers around the need or their concerns about about credit cards, and that you've identified a need for a low frills, low interest rate card. Can you just expand on that for those for Hansard that may not be aware of what Westpac's intentions are?
Yes, so as I said in my opening statement, we've announced that we'll be launching a new low frills credit card, as you described it. It'll have an interest rate under 10% and a relatively low revolving limit, and that purpose is to meet a need for customers who don't see the value or don't want to pay for the value in some of our more premium cards.
What does low look like? What's a low figure?
Under 10%.
Sorry, no, the limit.
We haven't decided that, but it would probably be a couple of $1,000s, somewhere in the $3,000 to $4,000 range is my guess. That would depend, of course, on the customer's own financial capacity to repay.
And low frills means you'll unbolt some of the benefits that some of the other higher income generating or higher interest rate cards, in around 19–20%, they may have complimentary travel insurance. Say, for example, linked to it. Do you, as a bank, have any data on how many people actually draw down and use that travel insurance that they pay for on, say, a higher interest rate bearing card?
Well, if a customer is, in the case of travel insurance, if the customer purchases their trip using that card, then they're automatically insured. Whether they then claim on that insurance is a matter for the insurer that stands behind it. But every customer who uses their card travel is benefiting from being insured, and hopefully they don't have too many problems.
Sure, but you're paying the extra. I just want to get my head around it. So you're paying potentially 19% to have that luxury. The low frill card won't have the travel insurance component to it. So when you buy your flight to overseas or wherever you're going to, that'll automatically give you travel insurance.
Yes.
Which would, and if you didn't have that, you would normally go to the market and buy it for $100 odd to travel, depending on the time that you're going to be away and the value of the flight. Do you know how many people actually use that?
I'd have to take that on notice, but many of our customers travel. As we know, Australians like to travel, so it's a very popular feature.
Okay. I would be interested in just assessing what that looks like, so I can do a calculation as to the justification of a low fee rate, say opposed to a 19, put them up against each other, cost out what the benefits are, and there are many benefits for the higher rates. I get that.
We can certainly on notice provide some broad-ranging numbers to help you do that. What I can assure you is when you add it all up, you'll see it's very good value.
Thank you. And I do not want to detract away from the way that you have listened to your customers and flagged this card. When do you suggest that it'll enter the market?
We're still working through the technical aspects of that, but sometime in the next couple of months.
Okay. Oh, that's good. Can I ask, how do you communicate with your customers? How did you? I mean, I moved through my electorate and through the country, and when while these hearings are on, the amount of people that will raise the interest raise with me their concerns about interest rates that they pay on their credit cards. It seems to be the number one issue that they'll raise with me. How do you communicate with your clients? And what are they saying to you in and around this space that has made you shift to this particular product?
Well, the starting point in how we think about the credit card business and any aspect of or any of our product categories is what are the need categories? How do different segments of customers trade off their priorities? And what we try to do is make sure we have a product that is structured in a way that it meets the fundamental need of a different segment. And it was through that kind of research that we identified that there's a reasonable sized group of people who want an ability from time to time to manage their cash flow but really don't see the value in those extra benefits, and that's what led to us creating this card. In terms of the general starting point of your question, I think the point that I would draw out here is that a credit card is designed to be a short-term revolving facility. And if I may, when your constituents raise that issue, the question I'd be asking them is, are you using your credit card as a long-term borrowing facility, or are you using it as a revolving facility? Because if they're using it as a long-term borrowing facility, then they're in the wrong product. And what we do is we systematically look at customers who are using our credit cards to identify people who seem to be carrying large balances over long periods of time. And we proactively contact those customers. We write out to them or we phone them, and we say, are you really in the right product? And we offer to move them into an installment personal loan, which allows them to pay that balance down over time and gives them the certainty of payments. So I think that's the fundamental challenge with credit cards, is where people are using the wrong product for what they actually need. And that's the creation of this new product is an example of us trying to demonstrate that, along with this using our data to identify people who are in the wrong product.
So one of the groups that would be my mum's friends, who I spoke to more recently. They use credit card in their retirement years, where they have a limited revenue, either linked through a pension or dividends from a retirement fund. They use it for unexpected expenses. If the washing machine breaks down, not that dissimilar to an overdraft facility in a business that sits there as an accessible limit that they can draw down on. So I wouldn't suggest that it's outrageous. I think that's, with limited revenue coming through on a regular basis, it may take them a number of months to pay down their capital purchase that they used it for, but it's the convenience of it. So, and I suppose once they have that utilisation of a card, which I think is the intent of what a credit card is. I mean, ideally you'd want everyone to be able to pay it out inside that interest-free period, but those people that don't have that capacity, that is the audience that approach me in suggesting. And I think it's the theatre around the credit card interest rates when we've seen the cash rate go down, and I don't want to have the conversation about that the cash rate's not linked to the cost of funds. It's in there. It's the theatre of seeing interest rates come down, other parts of the business, the variable loans come down in around mortgages, but credit cards not tracking that trajectory. That raises their emotions to say, we need to do something in this space. And I do welcome what you guys have done. I wanted to just stay back on how do you communicate with your customers, because I want to understand in establishing that this no frills card, I want to understand, were there any, in communicating with your clients, were there any of them that suggested that an interest rate reduction wasn't their priority and that they were actually looking for the capacity to maybe, like some of the other banks, the ease to reduce their limit online, as to where it weighted in the conversation that you were having with your clients against lowering interest rates?
Well, I think you highlight a very important ability. We want to put more control in the hands of customers about how they manage their money. We've recently introduced the ability to reduce your limit through our mobile app, so you can do it yourself in seconds. By the way, you can reduce the limit all the way to zero if you want to. So that's a capability we now offer, and we're very supportive of the idea of giving people more control. And I would also say that one of the other things that we continue to think about is the role of linking installment credit to people who've got credit cards, and making sure that they are, if they do have, for example, a large purchase they want to pay off over time, that they do that through more of an installment approach than a revolving approach. So I do think there's room for us to continue to innovate, and that's why we do the research that we do. And interestingly, data is becoming more helpful in us and beginning to allow us to observe the patterns about how people use their cards and how their spending patterns change. And we're using that to inform the types of innovations that we introduce.
Okay, thank you. And I look with anticipation for the market being able to welcome this product.
We'll look forward to you signing up for one.
Yeah, I will. Well, I may. Can I?
Another happy Westpac customer. Come on in.
I am a Westpac
There you
customer,
go.
I think. Thank you, Chair. I think.